What up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston. My name is Big Cam. Today we are talking about X-Men 97, Episode 5, Remember It. The name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it. Oof, and this is a heavy Gambit episode, but I miss my girl Storm, this badass t-shirt. Heed my command! Winds! Heed my command! I really want to see Storm come back. And I believe that's next episode. Maybe, possibly, she gets her powers back. But after this one, I was like, oh my god, they really just gonna kill off two of our leading people in this series so far? Like, you know, we're only halfway through. Like, okay. But I love this poster here with the blue background with all their heads. I just thought that was a cool one. This episode takes us to Genosha, the island where mutants are more prevalent than people. And, like, their own little private place where mutants can go and be free, and it's a great time. And we should expect bad things to happen, because if things are looking great and fun, it's only going to turn out badly, because, you know, things are high and it only means that they can get low. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we get Rogue, Gambit reuniting with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is one of my favorites. I don't know about you, but I loved when he just poofs in, hugs Rogue, you know, hugs the shit out of her. Grabs Gambit, pulls him in. Look at these three little chums. They all love each other. Gambit questions the apple price. The apple prices are like $10 here on Genosha. And he's like, sounds like Daddy's charging high rent. And they're like, oh, whatever. But you can see the newspaper here. Genosha, the mutant nation. This guy like is maybe Nightcrawler-esque. He's purple, got little claws. He's like the apple stand clerk. The guy selling apples. But Gambit sees Rogue having way too much fun and just really enjoying Genosha and just really taking it all in. And Gambit's all sad, and Nightcrawler gives him some good advice. And I just love like the little banter between the two of them. And I love how Nightcrawler looks. Nightcrawler is one of my favorite X-Men. I love him in X2, the German version of his live-action version there with like the tattoos and his blue skin. Pretty sure that was Alan Tudyk that played that one. But just teleportation is such a cool-ass power, and I would love to have that power. Just all of a sudden, like, oh man, I need a glass of water. Just poof next to the fridge, get some water, poof back to my chair, and I never even have to take steps. You know, like, oh, that's just a basic version. Now, what if I wanted to do like the movie Jumper with Hayden Christensen? You can just think about, oh, I want to go to Big Ben. I'm in Boston. Just all of a sudden, bink, ooh, I'm in London. You know, like, oh, it's such a cool power. Comment below, which superpower or mutation would you love to have? For me, it's definitely teleportation. That's up there at least. But meanwhile, there in Genosha, back at the X-Mansion, Scott is having an interview with this lady, and she's she's asking some questions that are getting underneath the skin, and Scott gives her some attitude. And she's like, Scott, why lie about your son? I saw him, we saw doctor's reports that he was delivered at a hospital just yesterday, and like I think he was trying to avoid thinking about it, but at the same time it's like, well, I had a baby with the clone of the woman I'm really in love with, and also sent that baby to the future with Bishop. Right? Like, so, and we do actually get to see baby Nathan come back later in this episode. I'll talk about it more in a little bit, but Scott gives a powerful little line to her, and he's like, it's because you're normal, and I'm not, and you guys are ungrateful, and he like says something along the lines of like, walking away, he's like, you guys should consider yourself lucky that you're all still breathing, and that we're nothing like you, because if we were, you would all be dead, like that type of thing. And I was like, holy shit, like some of the lines and deliveries and just like drama that's been going on in this show are fucking awesome. And I love Beast is getting interviewed, and I don't remember what happens, but at one point he's like looking, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh no. Like, and you're just like, oh, Beastie. You're such a cutie pie. But then our Jean, not Madeline Pryor, our Jean is over kind of doing like paying homage to like the Alkali Lake Jean that like she was like swirling water in the X-Men movies, I'm saying, and she gets like trapped in the water, and then they pull her out in X-Men Last Stand. But she's got like the water, and she's got memories and like little balls of water and she's like trying to get a hold of her psychic powers again. She's trying to figure out which memories are hers and which ones are Madeline's, and what's real and what's not. And you know, and she's like complaining about her situation, and she's like, I forget how many sunrises your eyes have seen. You know, he goes, this mug has looked the same for the last 100 years, and you know it. And Logan finally gets his kiss, right? She leans in and kisses him, and he like turns around, turns his back on her, and just goes, you're Jean Grey, he's Scott Summers, that's how things work. You just forgot it for a second, and that's it. Yeah, right? And like, he knows that it's not real. Like, as much as he wants Jean to be in love with him, he knows that like, this is not how it's supposed to happen. And to be very honest, I kind of want him and Jean together after seeing this scene. I was like, oh man, Jean kind of fucks with him. And he's always been there, he's always loved her. And then, you know, immediately after, right, where if you thought Jean was in, Logan tells Jean to go talk to Scott. So she does, and then she sees that Scott is having a telepathic conversation with Madeline Pryor, and she friggin', that used to be our thing, Scott. Goodbye, Madeline. Shuts out Madeline, and then starts talking to Scott like, what the fuck? This was our thing. What the hell? And he's like, whoa. And she's like, how long has it been going on? He's like, just like a month. And I'm like, oh my God, Scott, stop talking. You're making it worse. Oh God. But as she got like shut out, Madeline Pryor, that is, she's having a meeting with Magneto and all them at Genosha, and she's like a high council, which I thought was crazy. I was like, we just saw her as the Goblin Queen 2 episodes ago, and now she's back. Like, I thought we were gonna not see Madeline Pryor again until like season 2 type shit. Instead, 2 episodes later, she's sitting in Genosha. I was like, oh no. But so they're like, everything all right, Madeline? And she's like, oh, sorry, mine just drifted for a bit. And we see just this face in this like little ruby, and this is Emma Frost. And Emma Frost is badass character, also a telepath. And she's like, sorry, my mind just drifted for a bit. And she goes, oh, mind drift indeed. And almost like, oh, so Emma Frost was snooping a little bit on what she was drifting off doing. But I do love the character design of Emma Frost, the blue eyes, the blonde hair, the white outfit. Ooh, very, very hot. They asked Magneto to be a part of their leaders, and he probably will accept, but says he will only accept if he has Rogue also be, another X-Men also be on the leadership board. And you see in the reflection here, like, this is just a great ass shot. You see the reflection of the water and the coast, but you also see the reflection of Magneto's statue, Charles Xavier's statue, the people in the background sitting at the table. Like, that's just a phenomenal shot for a animated TV show. Like, they really didn't need to go this far into detail, but yet they did, and I really appreciate it. So Magneto tells Rogue that he will only accept if she will be his queen, and she will love to do that because her and Magneto have history. But then she's thinking about Gambit. So what does she do? She goes and tells Gambit the truth, and tells him all about Magneto and where they met and the first time. And Gambit's just throwing cards into the fire, fucking pissed. Oh man, poor Gambit, man. He had his heart broken. But we see the flashbacks of Rogue telling talking about Magneto, and Magneto was kind of helping her, but she's like young, and he's like an old ass man. So this is like kind of very creepy if you really think about it. But you can see his old school, old costume design, not the one with the big ass M, but the red with the purple. I think he looks really good, but friggin' Daddy Magneto had me doing the same thing, Rogue. Every time they show Daddy Magneto on screen, she's sitting there biting a fork like, tasty. What a scrumptious little snack of a man. But as she's telling him, she starts crying. Gambit starts crying. Oh man, it's so terrible. And he's just like, he's so heartbroken. He's like, some things go deeper than touch, share. But okay, Mon ami, until then, we're friends, love. And kisses her hand, walks away, and his like suited and booted outfit goes to the gala. And apparently at some point, I didn't catch it quite in the episode, I'll have to rewatch it to see, but apparently right before this Hellfire Gala where there's a firework explosion, we see the Watcher potentially over in the sky in the background. Not quite as we always see him with the star eyes, but that definitely looks like the shape of Uatu the Watcher with his high collar. I wonder if Uatu the Watcher is watching X-Men 97 universe currently. Either way, very interesting. But Gambit goes over to the gala, and I believe this is Maura McTaggart says this to Magneto and Emma Frost and whoever this other guy is with the molten chops. But she goes, most other nations don't allow a terrorist to be their leader, yet so many allow their leaders to be terrorists. Ooh! Magneto delivered this line with such sass, like he's such a sassy little broad. And then they say the part where, oh, well, you should like to know that Magneto wouldn't agree to lead unless another X-Men would join him, Rogue. And she's kind of like, oh. And the face she made, I was like, is this Mystique? Is this really Mystique? And she's jealous here of Rogue with Magneto? Because Mystique and Magneto used to kind of have a thing. But we see Madeline Pryor say something to Gambit here, and as they're like talking at the bar, Rogue makes her appearance, and it is magical. She looks gorgeous. She's got no gloves on. She puts out her hand. She's flying, and her and Magneto touch, and as soon as they like touch hands and Gambit sees them touch, Gambit leaves. He walks out. And I'm like, no, poor Gambit. But then Daddy Magneto and Rogue have a pretty dope, sexy dance up in the stars or whatever, up in the sky, flying around, because they both can like levitate or do flying shit, which is cool. But they have this whole dance, and it is magical. And then all of a sudden at the very end, she like kisses him and goes, Gambit was right, some things are deeper than skin, love. And it's like, ooh, 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 some things are deeper than skin, right? And right, all she ever wanted was to touch Gambit, but she couldn't. Oh, so sad. So sad. But then, Madeline Pryor gets a little vision, and her nose starts bleeding. She's like, what the fuck was that? She walks outside, and she hears the same vision that the same voice she just heard from the vision, which was Cable's voice. And we know Cable from the original series as a time traveler, but we don't know is that Cable from the future, time traveling back to the past, is baby Nathan Summers that we just saw born 2 episodes ago. Right? So 2 episodes ago, he was a baby. Now, the future's happened, he's aged, and now he's come back and to give us a warning. He's like, turn off the music, get out of here, evacuate. He's like trying to save everyone, but everyone's like, what is this guy talking about? And he comes face to face with Madeline, and she's like, wait a second, I know those brown eyes. And then he like gets teleported back to the future, reaching out, and he's like, I'm sorry, Mom. And she's like, sorry for what? And then we get boom, big explosion. Rogue and Magneto go outside, this thing's burning, there's blast coming at them. It's terrible. The whole destruction laid out is brutal. And then we see Nightcrawler grab Magneto and Rogue and save them, and Rogue runs over to Nightcrawler to see if he's okay and has no gloves on, so she goes like feel his pulse, and she's like, wait, if I touch him now I'll just kill him. So then Gambit runs over, touches him, goes, he's still alive. So this part made me nervous. I was like, damn it, this looks like Nightcrawler's dead on the ground. Meanwhile, these other people on the gurneys are dead, and it's like, holy shit, how many mutants are we gonna watch die right now? And then there's like Sentinels coming and destroying things. We see Genosha's island burning. This giant like beetle-like creature with 3 sentinel heads is dropping more sentinels. And it's like, oh my god, there's too many of them. Magneto starts distracting the big one and throwing stuff at him, and he's pissed. Rogue and Gambit take off a motorcycle. Rogue's flying. She's beating up Sentinels. He's taking out Sentinels. I like the little the motorcycle, seeing Gambit get like his last real badass act in, you know what I'm saying? He throws the card, slices off a few heads, you know, puts out one giant big blast, and then this giant 3-headed friggin' Sentinel beast creature, whatever this is. I want to know who planned this, right? Because they knew the X-Men were going to be there, and like, or they were just attacking Genosha and they got lucky that the X-Men were there. I don't know. But this giant head thing keeps, you know, blasting these green blasts, and then we see Magneto selfish or unselfishly protect poor young Leech here. Oh, and his like last words that we see him say as they're like getting charged up by this green beam and the force field that Magneto has around them, he goes, don't be afraid. And then all of a sudden, boom, and they like die together, and it says Omega level threat terminated. So it's like, dude, did Magneto just die with Leech? Like, ooh. And then, right, so Rogue sees this big thing has killed Magneto now, and she's like, one of my two loves. And so she's like pissed, and she's crying, and she's like, argh, takes off flying. She goes to fly right through the thing like Captain Marvel would in Avengers Endgame. But Gambit knows that this thing's just gonna kill her before she gets a chance to destroy the thing. So he takes the bike, powers up the bike, throws it into Rogue, so Rogue gets out of the way of the blast, and then powers up his own blast, and he's about to hit the thing in the face, and it stabs him. And then Gambit's sitting there, and he starts to like smirk, and now he starts to power up, right? So because anything Gambit touches, he powers up. He starts to power up the thing that stabbed him, and then he powers up this entire three-headed creature, bug, beetle, giant ship thing that's been attacking everyone, and he just looks right at it and goes, "The name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it." Oh, and he like smirks with blood out of his eyes, and then it boom, and it blows up, and Rogue is crying, holding the lifeless body of Gambit, and she touches his face in like, you know, with a bare hand, so she damn well knows that what he feels like now, and even if he was alive, she would be killing him right now, but because he's not, she instead cries in the pit, you know, and holds him, and she's like, oh, and it's terrible to see Gambit's like lifeless, bloody body. His head's like, seems like half his hair got melted off. Man, it's just, this was a heartbreaking episode, and it just ends with her holding him, saying, "I can't feel you," which is like a parallel to Wanda saying that to Vision's lifeless body in WandaVision. "I can't feel you." And then that ends, and it's just tears. And I'm like, oh my god, how the fuck is X-Men 97 so goddamn good, but how are they heartbreaking? Like, how are they going to kill Gambit off and Magneto in the same episode? Like, my heart can't handle this. I am upset. I am sad. Are you sad? Do you think that they're going to have to go back in time and fix this somehow? Or do you really think that the X-Men are going to go on the rest of this series without a Magneto, without a Gambit? Wow. I am so sad. Gambit was becoming one of my favorite characters, and now he's not going to be able to be in the rest of the series. I'm going to be so upset. Like, and then Magneto's always been one of my favorites. Daddy Magneto, he's been hot as hell this whole series. Now he's gone. All I'm saying is they better bring Storm back with a vengeance. She better, you know, be more powerful than she's ever been in her entire life. That's all I'm saying. But comment below, what do you think's going to happen in the next episode and the rest of this season? How have you been liking the first 5 episodes so far? Last week's episode wasn't the best episode in the 5. I still enjoyed it, but this one, you know, came back. The first 3 I thought were amazing, and I gave 10 out of 10s. Last week's I probably gave about a 7 or 8 out of 10. This one's back to a 10 out of 10, because this one blew my mind, and I am so thoroughly impressed by the show. Bo DeMaio wrote this episode, and I stumbled across his Twitter, and his Twitter is crazy. He's like he's a big gay bear, and he's already been fired, so he's like, I don't give a damn, I'm gonna post my big gay bear shit. And I'm like, hey, power to you, but man, I can see why some of the people at Marvel were like, yeah, his posts are inappropriate and creepy and really unsettling. And I'm like, after, you know, if you haven't, you won't know what I'm saying. But if you've scrolled Bo DeMaio's Twitter a little bit, it's some disturbing stuff. So at least he's a big fan of the X-Men, which I appreciate, because now I am a big fan of this X-Men 97 show. I've been rewatching the original show as well in between week-to-week episodes. I've also been watching Shogun, which has been very good. So comment below if you have any recommendations for other shows or movies. And also comment your thoughts about X-Men 97. Who's your favorite X-Men? Which power would you like to have? And what mutation would you like to have? I would love to know those things in the comment section below. Or you can at me on my other social medias. Link down in the description below. Hit that like button. It helps the channel. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that bell so you don't miss future videos. My name is Big Cam. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.